Welcome to the Shout Out with Sage show. Shout Out with Sage.
Shout me out.
And that's all I gotta say. So shout out and let's go.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Shout Out with Sage on Streaminn HUBB Radio. I am Sage Stevens, the host. And today I have an Asian American actor who's known for his roles in Tim and Eric on Adult Swim, South Beach Toe from Warner Brothers, Pay the Lady on Tubi, and many of his films have hit the film festivals, including Cannes. And his comedy TikTok videos have gained over 5 million viewers, so I guess he's a funny guy. And I want to welcome to the show today, Dave Gia. Hey, Dave, how are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Great. Thanks for being here.
Sure, thanks for having me.
How did you get into acting?
Oh, man. Well, I've always loved acting and art, making music as a kid. And yeah, I've just done it my whole life. And then I kind of just fell into it by accident when I was in college.
And what was that accident?
Well, I was working in music at the time. I was studying at the University of Miami, and I was working for a bunch of music companies. And, you know, music and film, it's a lot of the same people, it's a lot of the same world. And so just through friends, various people I met a bunch of casting directors who needed an Asian actor. And so people just reached out, and I started going on auditions. And after a while, I just started booking things, commercials, music videos, films, shows, and it gradually just built up from there.
And what was your first role?
First role. Well, technically my first role was Cat in the Hat back in like third or fourth grade for the school play. But I guess first paid role was, I think it was probably a commercial. I did a commercial. I think it was for Humana Healthcare. Okay. But yeah, there's been so many. Yeah.
Right. You don't remember them all.
Yeah.
How was it for you then? So you're from Miami, or that's where you were for a while, and then you made the jump to LA. How was that?
I'm from Philly originally, and I just went to Miami for school, but I moved to LA maybe 7 or 8 years ago, right after I graduated.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you find that like a difficult transition? Like, I mean, I lived in Miami before here as well. So
really?
I mean,
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's cool.
Definitely. And I mean, there's a lot of similarities between Florida and LA, but there's also some differences. So how did you deal with all that?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely very similar, you know, the big city vibes. But obviously here in LA, there's a bigger focus with film and TV. And so I love LA. You know, I feel very like at home here, you know, with the art community here. I felt like in Miami, it was always like more of a struggle to find other like-minded people. I don't know. Did you ever feel that way when you were in Miami? Or were you in Miami, or which part of Florida were you from?
Yeah, I was in Miami, and I went to the actor's studio there. I did a 2-year conservatory. So I didn't feel quite out of, you know, like, because those people I felt like were kindred spirits, let's say.
Yeah.
But yeah, here in LA, everyone's, you know, most people are creative in some way. So there's definitely, you know, you feel, as you said, like sort of more at home, like this is where you should be.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Totally.
What brought you to LA? You just decided to make that jump, or you got a role, or how did you end up here?
No, I just decided to make the jump. Yeah. I've always known I wanted to live in LA and to work in entertainment. And so after I graduated, I was like, screw it, I'm just going to move. And yeah, I just packed up all my stuff, and I literally didn't even have an apartment or any place to stay when I was coming here.
Wow.
I was getting on the plane, and I was going to crash with a friend of mine on his couch. And literally, as I'm getting on the plane, he gives me a call. And he's like, man, I am so sorry, but my landlord is actually not cool with guests staying over, so you can't stay with me. So I'm sitting on the whole plane ride over here, just not knowing where I'm going to stay. But thankfully, after I got off the plane, he was able to talk to another friend of his who was cool with me crashing. So I got very lucky with that. But yeah, I literally came here with almost nothing, just one suitcase, and I couch hopped a lot until I found an apartment, and yeah, just grinding.
What was your family? Were they supportive? Like, do people, like your core group, did they think you were crazy for making that type of a move to LA with nothing, like, no plan?
Oh, totally. My parents still think I'm crazy to this day, and that's probably never going to change. And I've just fully accepted that,
Right.
Which is reasonable for them to think that it's crazy. They haven't been supportive. Really, they definitely don't want me in this career. They would rather see me doing something more stable.
Right.
And I guess most parents probably would feel that way with their kids. So yeah, they haven't really been supportive. So it's just been me doing what I want to do anyways, just because this is my passion, and I haven't had any regrets.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you have an agent and a manager?
Yeah. I have an amazing management team here in LA, as well as amazing agents in LA, on the East Coast as well. And so I've been very fortunate with that. Yeah.
And how did all that come about? How did you get an agent, and how did you get managers?
Well, my original agents in Florida, when I first started, I think, again, it was completely by accident. I booked a role as an extra for this movie. They weren't allowed to tell anybody what it was called. So they had this working title. They called it Caged Heat, and we weren't allowed to talk about it. And I didn't really think anything of it. I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. I show up to set, and there's like 1,000 people there. There's like trailers and giant cranes and,
Yeah.
1,000 people there. And I was like, holy crap, what is this? And I turned to one of the PAs, and I was like, yo, what is this that we're working on? What's Caged Heat? And they were like, well, don't tell anyone, but it's Iron Man 3.
What?
Yeah, it was Iron Man 3. So just really random that just I heard about this casting call when they were looking for extras, and that's what it ended up being. And so I was there on set, and I just kind of turned to another actor there who has way more experience. And I asked him, well, how do you get more jobs like these? Or like, how do you audition for like the speaking stuff that like Robert Downey Jr. would have? And he pretty much told me like, well, you have to have an agent. And he essentially pulled out a napkin and wrote down 3 numbers and told me to call them. And from there, I got my first agents in Florida. But then when I moved to LA, I didn't have any LA reps at the time. And so I literally just emailed everybody. I just went online and I just found as many people's emails as possible. And I just spammed everybody until I had some people respond.
And how long did that take? How long of a process was that?
I got really fortunate. Probably only a month or less. Like, I moved out to LA within a week. I was like, I need to get an agent. So I just emailed like 1,000 people. And then within a week or two, people started responding. And then I took some meetings. And then a week or two after that, I signed with my first rep here in LA.
Okay. So it sounds like you've had lots of just like serendipitous moments and meeting the right people. How important do you feel networking is to your career so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's hugely important, like with most industries. And I definitely think I've gotten lucky a lot, but I think a lot of it also has been hard work, where I've been putting myself in a position to be able to meet certain people, because it still took hours and hours and hours of my time to email all those reps. So even though I got lucky in that some of them responded, it still took many hours to send all those emails out, to research. So, I think it's been a combination of both.
What do you think of LA, of the business? Like, what have you, has it all been good for you? Have you had a few, encounters that haven't been so good?
I don't know if off the top of my head I can think of any bad encounters. I mean, it is a tough business. It's definitely a tough business, without a doubt. Probably one of the toughest industries out there. I definitely have struggled like most people have, if not everybody. But I love it, like I feel I have a very thick skin. So like getting rejected from auditions or whatever, it doesn't bother me. I'm just like, okay,
Okay.
let's do the next one.
Yeah, just next, like
Yeah.
keep going, keep your
going. Yeah.
eye on the long-term goal. So
Yeah.
you don't ever get a little down or like depressed, or you just handle that? How do you handle that?
I mean, I certainly get down and depressed like, everybody does. And I guess from my point of view, I try to stay positive, and I have a nice core group of friends. I have an awesome girlfriend who supports me. And so I think because I have like a community of support, I'm able to just keep going, keep grinding. And, I've also developed a life outside of just art and entertainment, which distracts me if I'm ever down about something,
Right. Yeah, I think that's important, because I've had other friends here that, they get really frustrated, but all they're doing is just,
Yeah.
acting, or
Yeah.
if they're a comedian, or writing, whatever it is. And
Yeah.
you definitely, it's really, really helpful.
Yeah.
You have to have some outside stuff.
Totally.
You have to and you have to
Yeah.
leave LA. Like, you just
Totally.
can't be here all the time.
Yeah, I think part of the reason I don't feel as depressed from the difficulties is that I just see it as part of the work. Have you ever read the book, The War of Art? You know what I'm talking about?
I know that book, yes.
Well, anyways, it was a book I read years ago that was talking about the artistic process, and I see the struggle as inherent to the work, which is why it doesn't get me down. It's like if you were training to play like a sports game, you're playing basketball or football or something, you're not going to complain that you get tired from running so much, but that your
Right.
muscles are sore. That is just the process that it takes to get good and to win games. And so similarly, getting rejected from agents or casting directors is just part of the process. Like, there is just no way you can go on 100 auditions and book all of them. It just doesn't happen. So I just see it as inherent to the process. And so I fully embrace it. And that's why it doesn't really get me down.
Do you study? Like, do you go to class? And if so, like, how regularly do you go?
Yeah, I right now am training with Ivana Chubbuck, who I don't know if you've heard of before, but she has a pretty popular book out there as well. I study with her every week. We have classes, and I try to get private coaching whenever I have an audition. And she's amazing. She's great. I love her technique. I love her book. But I've trained with other people over time as well.
And what about her process do you like?
Her process, it's very personal. It's very personal. Like, her whole process is about like, once you figure out what your character in a script really wants or is trying to do, you try to relate it to your own life to think, well, when was the closest like parallel in my life where I have wanted something similar or struggled with something similar? Who could I be talking to in my real life that is similar to the other character that I'm talking to? And by using personal personal moments that you've had in real life in the script, it adds like a layer of specificity that I really enjoy, and it makes the work, in my opinion, a lot deeper and a lot more interesting.
Are there any other things that she does besides that you like?
I like that she's very honest in her class. Like, when I joined her class, I was like very intimidated actually at first. Like, wow, these people are really good. She has a lot of phenomenal performers in her class. And I was like very intimidated by that. But there'll be times for some actors, they're like good in one scene, but then another scene they're bad. She'll just tell them up front, like, hey, this is bad because of these reasons. She doesn't really play favorites. But then if something's good, even if she like hates her guts for whatever reason, she'll be like, no, that was good for these reasons. So I really like that about her.
I've attended a few acting classes, and some teachers are not so nice, and other ones are nicer. So,
Totally.
I have some horror stories myself, but we won't get into that today. It is about you.
Sure.
So what roles do you have coming up?
So I have this one project that, well, I guess we recently finished shooting, but we're in post-production that we're going to be releasing soon. It's called Dark X, and it's an action thriller about a delivery driver for the dark web, where imagine, I don't know if you know what the Silk Road is, or at least what it was, but there was like a site that started years ago where Bitcoin originally became huge, where people would use Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies to buy illicit goods off the internet. And so we thought, well, what if we merged that idea with like Postmates? So imagine in like the near future, there's like this app where people can just order illicit goods off the internet, and the story revolves around a delivery driver for this app. And so we recently finished shooting, and we're in post-production for that, and very excited about it. But I started in that project. So
are you the driver, or?
I'm the delivery driver. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. It sounds like very gritty, like
a blend of like Breaking Bad or Mr. Robot. I don't know if you've seen any of these shows.
Or Collateral, maybe the movie there.
Yes. It's similar to that too. Totally.
What did you do to prepare for that? How did you prepare for that?
A lot of, Ivana's techniques as well. I like to really I try my best to get into the mind of who that person really is. I think that's why I love acting so much. It's so fascinating. Like studying psychology, like the psychology behind someone, and why someone does what they do, or why they have certain mannerisms or a way of speech. That always fascinates me, or watching interviews of people and how they speak or why they behave a certain way. And so a lot of it is just thinking about how a person might have gotten here, what their backstory might have been like, what their past life might have been like, their relationships with the other characters, how they view themselves, how they view the other characters. I do a lot of journaling as well. It really helps. And that's part of Ivana's technique as well, is where you do like emotional diaries, where it's almost like free writing, where you kind of just close your eyes and you just write, and you allow whatever emotions or thoughts or feelings just come out. And it's really interesting because you're able to access a lot in your subconscious, where you start realizing things of like, wow, I didn't realize I would have thought that. When you just kind of journal without judgment, without judging yourself, like, oh, that's stupid or that's lame. You just write whatever comes out. And then you start realizing certain opinions that you have about things. Yeah.
But you're doing this as yourself or as your character?
It would be, well, I guess both, right? Because I try to also put myself, whatever I can relate to, in the character as well. Because, inevitably, like, no matter how in character someone gets, you're still yourself at the end of the day. So there's still going to be an element of like, this is how I would have done that, or here's my interpretation of something, and so that's part of the process, as well as just trying different options and choices for how certain scenes can go. And then once you get on set, you kind of just let go and see what happens and interact with the other people. And hopefully the camera captures something good, Right. Hopefully it looks good at the end.
Catches some magic there, right? Definitely.
Yeah.
How do you
Yeah.
If you're reading a screenplay, how do you approach maybe an area or a line or two that you're not really connecting with?
Yeah, totally. I think I start by like researching the script and the story or the character. Like it might be, like it might be like, let's say it's like if it's like medical dialogue or something, I might not connect with it because I don't know medicine, I don't know healthcare. So then I research that and I see like, well, what does that mean? Is this disease like, is that a really bad thing, or is that just, oh, it's just a symptom? I try to see like what is like the meaning behind it, and then I try to with that then practice um, speaking it or relating to it so that I can give it meaning myself. So a lot of it's like just research, some of it's practice, some of it's just like studying how other people would say something. And I think you just practice saying it enough times in different ways. Hopefully it comes out naturally.
Till it comes out naturally, right?
Yeah.
On TikTok, how do you create your TikTok videos?
Yeah. A lot of the times I'm just sitting around with my friends and we just come up with dumb ideas and we just like crack each other up. And so I'm like, that would be a funny idea. And so I am going to shoot a video of that. And a lot of my TikTok videos, it's me making fun of society or like satirizing something. And it's like, I see some sort of irony in life somewhere, and I try to figure out a way of how can I make fun of this in the simplest way or in a way that it makes sense to the audience. But a lot of it just, I don't know, just random ideas. They just come,
They just come and you go shoot. How have you? So you've garnered like a lot of views. Was that like? Are you obviously you're happy with that? But how did all that come about? Like just consistently working and putting up content.
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, during COVID, it was relatively slow, as you can imagine. And so just for fun, I started making TikToks because a lot of my friends were on it and they were telling me, hey, you should get on it. You might be able to gain a following. So I just like started posting random funny videos for fun just to see what would land and what wouldn't. And over time, some of those videos went viral, some didn't. And over time, it built up, a somewhat of a following and some views. Of course, I could be posting more. There's people on the internet, like TikTok gurus, who tell people you got to be posting like 3 to 5 times a day, which I think is insane. Like, I don't know how people have time for that. So I try my best to post as much as I can, and that consistency definitely helped me get a lot of views.
How long does it take you usually to like do a video?
Anywhere from like sometimes as short as like 5 minutes to like 3 hours, depending on how intricate it is. Like sometimes if, I think of an idea that's like, boom, I just say something, be quick. But then sometimes it's like, you have to flesh out the idea more, or like, I don't know what the punchline is yet. So I got to kind of think about it or try different things. Sometimes the videos, if it requires like props or costume changes or different camera angles or specific location, they'll take longer. Right. I'd say maybe an average of like an hour per video it takes to make. Yeah.
Okay. I was always wondering how I know how long it takes me just to do a Instagram post. So I was always wondering about the TikTok stuff. So
it's like a full-time job.
Exactly. It's a full-time job on top of a full-time job. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Is there a piece of sage advice that someone's given you so far in your journey as an actor that that you really were happy to receive? That's helped you at all?
Yeah, I've definitely gotten a few. The first thing that comes to mind is when I first came to LA, one of my friends who was also in entertainment told me, don't take advice from anyone. And that's been one of the best pieces of advice I've ever taken from someone. And so I don't know if I took his advice or not, but what he meant by that is like this whole field, it's so subjective and like intangible. There's no like set path. There aren't concrete rules really, that you kind of have to just discover it as you go. And a lot of people don't know what they're talking about. And even people who've made it still struggle with various aspects that at a certain point you have to just kind of trust your gut instinct, because I hear people, like I was talking to somebody last week who's like, hey, you should not shoot demo reels for yourself as an actor because they'll make you look bad. But then I heard other people saying, well, look, if you don't have footage, you should shoot demo reels for yourself as an actor so that you can present yourself to producers and casting. And so like I've literally heard completely opposing advice. Hear people like, hey, you should join SAG because that'll make you look professional if you join the actors union, versus some people like, no, you gotta wait to join so that you can build up credits first. So it's like there's so much contradictory advice that I think everything is context based, and so you kind of have to just have an intuition to know what advice to take. But that really spoke with me, and so I taking that advice, I try to just not to overanalyze things and just to do it, just put work out there, just post a video, just go to an audition, just go to class and just work,
Right. My one teacher, she's always said work gets work. So just do the work,
Yeah, exactly. Totally.
And what other advice? You said there was a couple pieces. So,
I think one thing I've always struggled with a lot is like perfectionism. That I've always grown up with this mentality of like wanting to be better and to get closer to having something be perfect, whether that be a scene or like a script I'm writing or a TikTok video. And sometimes I would just spend way too much time like focusing on something. And it's something I've struggled with a lot. And it took me a while, until only like a few years ago, somebody just gave me the advice of just, I guess it's in line with the previous advice. Just screw it. Just do it. It doesn't matter. Just put it out there, because the perfection doesn't exist. You just have to do it. You just have to keep putting work out there. And sometimes it lands and sometimes it doesn't. You just have to trust that, that good work will eventually come out from just trying constantly.
Well, it's a craft at the end of the day. Acting's a craft. So you're always going to be getting better, hopefully. So, like if you look at your stuff from 3 years ago, I'm sure you've made progress. And
I hope so.
Sometimes I hope so. But sometimes, you just get really hard on yourself. So, but is there anyone that's come into your life that you'd like to give a shout out to, like anyone that's really helped you so far in your journey?
Man, a lot of people. I mean, right off the top of my mind, my girlfriend Cordelia, she's awesome. She's amazing. She's very supportive, always supporting me emotionally, but also helping me with my projects, shooting out ideas. One of my close friends, Radomir, he's a phenomenal director and DP I work with a lot. He's been very supportive. A lot of friends, my reps, my manager, my agents. There's been a lot of people.
Cool. Is there any advice you would give someone who's like wanting to make the move to LA?
Just do it. I say just do it. Yeah.
With nowhere to live. Just go.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I know I say that, but it's still easier said than done. I get it. You still obviously have to save up some money. I saved up, I think, like about 10 grand before I moved here, which still ran out very quickly. But yeah, I mean, save up some money, and I say just do it, because it's just, there's never going to be that perfect moment. I have so many friends who are still back home,
waiting for that. Yeah, waiting for that.
Like, exactly. Or they just like, well, if I had a job there, then I would go. But people here would rather hire someone who's local, or if I booked a role, then I'll move to LA. But a lot of times they cast people from LA, so it's like this chicken or the egg situation. And you kind of have to just do it and trust your gut. and it's going to be hard, but eventually I think you can kind of break through and create a life for yourself in LA.
What's success to you?
I would say just being able to have the freedom to do what I love to do. I think that's it. Money hasn't ever really meant much to me. Same with having followers on the internet. It like, I don't know, fame doesn't really mean much to me. I don't really care. I don't really care much for money. I think just the fact that I'm able to wake up every day, be happy, and act and write and make TikTok videos sometimes for fun, and to chat with you, on your show, like, to me, that's success, and I'm happy. And
Right.
if I never book another acting job for the rest of my life, I would still be fulfilled as a person. And obviously I would be upset by that. I would definitely be distraught if I never booked another job ever again.
Right,
I wouldn't be like, I'm still human, but I would still be fulfilled is my point. I just, each opportunity I've had, I feel very grateful for it, but I don't see it as like, I don't know, like I don't feel like a desperate need that I have to book this job in order to be successful, or that I have to make this amount of money to be successful. Because, I've had a lot of friends who have had that mentality, and they're always chasing something and they're like never happy, because there is always more. There's always more.
Right. Well, yeah. And once you reach a certain level, there's another level above that usually,
Exactly.
right? So you're just going to keep going. Hope, or not, maybe not. So sort of have to be happy with where you are.
Totally.
How do we find, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, go ahead, you go.
I was just saying that, like reaching another level. One thing that opened my eyes a few years ago, I bumped into a celebrity in a random place. I don't want to say who publicly, but to me, it was like, wow, I'm a huge fan of your work. I love to work with you at some point. And he said to me something along the lines of, thank you so much. If you hear of any work, let me know as well. And I'm like, oh, wow, really? He's like, yeah, like I just got off another TV show. It got canceled. I'm looking for work too. And like, to me, it was like, wow, I looked up to you. Like, I always thought that you've hit that pinnacle of success. But even from that person's point of view, even though they're driving a nice car, living in a nice house, and have significant credits, that they still feel like, well, I'm still chasing that next job because it might not come, and we don't know where my next show is going to be. Yeah, that it might be impressive that he had a big show, but it got canceled. So he still has to now find the next thing.
Right. He still has to work and, pay the bills. So it's definitely. How do we find you on social media?
So I have my TikTok is It's Dave Jia, so ITSDAVEJIA. Same with my Instagram, same with my YouTube channel. It's all It's Dave Jia.
Okay. Oh, I think I pronounced your last name wrong then in the beginning.
Oh, it's all good. Everybody pronounces
I'm sorry.
it wrong. I'm just at this point.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. Apologize for that.
I really don't mind at all.
And is there anything that you have coming up next that you want to give a shout out for, that you want us to pay attention to?
I guess besides the Dark X project, I worked on another interesting project that's coming out soon. I shot a short film that was directed by ChatGPT.
What?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
It was just this crazy idea that some of my friends and I thought of, that like now with, I'm sure you've heard of the crazy AI explosion that's happening, that we thought, hey, wouldn't it be funny if we shot something that ChatGPT directs for us? So we went on the website, we gave it a prompt and said, hey, we're looking to shoot a short film. on a micro budget, one location, two actors, write us a film. So it just wrote us a script. It wasn't good, but we took the script and we're like, okay, now we're going to make it. And then we asked it, can you give us a shot list for it? And it did. It was like, here's a shot list. Boom, 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 boom. Like this line is a medium close up. This line is a wide. This line is a close up. Gave us a shot list. And then we would say, okay, how do you want the mood to be? How do you want the lighting to be? What do you want the production design to look like? Like what should the table look
what
like?
should it look like? Should it be like bright and sunny? Should it be dark and dismal? Like,
and it gave us its suggestions, and then we just did it. And then on set, we'll be like, we'll shoot a take, and then we'll ask ChatGPT, okay, the actor just did it this way. Do you have any thoughts on how the actor could do it again, a second take, but with a different variation? And it'll just give us directions. But here's another redirection, and we'll be like, great, can we do another one? And ChatGPT will respond, here's another redirection. Like this take, try it more serious, and versus this take, try it more like frightened or something. And so it would just give us directions, and us as actors, we just did it. We just follow the directions.
And so you're editing this now, is it done?
Well, a friend of mine is editing it, but we're also testing out. There's also new AI software that edits. It's crazy. This whole world is crazy. There's AI that edits now, AI that color grades, that does sound, that makes music. And so we're seeing, like, can we get AI to do everything at every step of the process? We're going to see. I don't know. It might not work. It might not.
And is it going to be good? This is my question. Like,
I hope so. But it's just like an experimental film project. We just wanted to see, like, what would AI do in terms of the way it looks. It looks good, but that's because we use professional cinema
cameras and lighting,
and professional lighting. So it look-wise, it looks good. We'll see how the final product looks, and I think that's going to be really exciting because I'm not aware of any other projects that have tried to have ChatGPT
to do or AI do everything.
Yeah.
So it's also being edited like through ChatGPT?
We're gonna see not ChatGPT itself, but there's another AI program that edits. So we're gonna see if it works.
Oops, sorry, I just lost my earphone. Sorry.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, no problem. But yeah, we're gonna see if it works. It's this other AI program that edits.
Okay.
We'll see if it works. That'll be really exciting. There was a couple months ago, South Park, the TV show South Park.
Yeah.
They released an episode in their newest season that was partially written by ChatGPT.
Okay.
In the
I'll
final
have to
credits.
look for that.
Yeah, it was in the last season, and it says in the final credits, written by Trey Parker and ChatGPT. And that was partially where we came up with the idea. And then when I looked it up on IMDb, I saw that on IMDb, ChatGPT got credited. So ChatGPT officially has an IMDb page now. And
that's just
so we're like, well, that's really cool.
Right. Yeah, well, actually, it's funny you said that because one of my friends, I called him out of the blue like a couple weeks ago. I'm like, hey, what's up? He's like, oh, I was just using ChatGPT to write a script for me. And I'm like, what? I go, isn't that cheating? He's like, it's not very good, so don't worry about it. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. But it's just crazy that we're even here, that where the skill level it currently has is already like mind-boggling. Like, wait another 5 years, it's going to be even better.
Yeah, it's a little scary.
It is
like cool, but scary at the same time. Like,
yeah.
What are we going to do if it can do everything, right?
Totally. So, it makes me wonder, you could probably use ChatGPT to like help you come up with interview questions for your show.
I'm sure I could. Maybe I
probably could.
Well, I do have like questions, like a few questions I ask, more or less every show, depending on the person. Yeah. But again, though, it's like I do want to have a conversation with the person. So like I have an idea of like, sort of where I want to go, like after I do the research on the person or know the person.
Right.
But like and it's the same like with ChatGPT in the writing. Like I don't know. I just think there's, or editing even, or shooting a movie, like there's certain things that, obviously it can help us with, but there's a lot of things that I just think as a human, just organically, like that a computer just can't do. Like, so it'll be interesting what happens, or how good it will be. Right.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I agree. Like as of now, there's still, like it's clunky still when you
Right.
use it. It doesn't really feel human. But we'll see if in a few years it might change.
Oh, for sure. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll definitely be getting better.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, is there anything else you'd like to say before we go?
Not really. I mean, thank you for having me on your show.
Oh,
This was a lot of fun.
Thanks. It was great. Yeah, we met at an event. So thanks for keeping in touch and being here. So I appreciate that. And let me know if there's a movie premiere or anything. I always like to support, or, give you a shout out for that.
Yeah.
So
I'll send you the link to the footage once ChatGPT is done making this.
Yeah,
film.
I so want to watch that movie. I
like.
so want to watch it. Definitely. Okay. Well, thanks, Dave.
Yeah.
And thanks for being here. And thanks everyone for watching today. I'm Sage Stevens, and this is Shout Out with Sage on Streaminn HUBB Radio. We are live every Wednesday at 4. So see you next time. See you next Wednesday. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.